Lucamus Prime here. So I thought I'd react to a video by my very good friend Ajmarkle where he's telling a story of how he would have directed Disney Star Wars. So this is episode 1, which is about Rey's backstory. So without further ado, we're on full screen and let's go. Rey's family go back to the final days of the Empire. When Sheev Palpatine had died, his spirit through the Force still lived on. However, before his death, he inserted a Force into a woman that was once close to his final days. Ajmarkle. Ketris.
I know a lot of you guys may not like Rey, or some might like Rey. I don't know. But I'm just going to be real with you guys. Rey isn't who you think she is, some might say. If I directed her, that is. Because once I finish this episode, you guys might have a new look for her based on my direction if I was able to direct it. Rey is one of the most popular characters in Star Wars, but yet her lack of backstory, in my opinion, makes her a very polarizing figure and OP. Basically overpowering, because you can't just randomly defeat a Sith Lord, and you can't just out of the blue defeat a cloned Emperor.
Yes.
Even if it was not the real Emperor, it's kind of OP either way, even though they have all the Jedi and all that stuff on her. Yeah, kind of a rip-off.
Yeah, but novelization confirmed that's a clone.
So anyway, guys, this is the full backstory if I directed Disney Star Wars about Rey.
Grandparents, ooh.
Before he became known as the Emperor and Darth Sidious, he was known as Sheev Palpatine. Then he would later on become the senator of Naboo, where he was close to politics. But he used the front as a senator to cover up his identity as Darth Sidious, and of course, later on, uncover his plan for a galactic empire. Yet, he also orchestrated the Clone Wars so he could also help get someone else to his side for the Empire, Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader. He also was notorious for pain and Sith lightning, which he would use on his apprentice's son, Luke, which we all know the apprentice Darth Vader. His notorious cold-hearted attitude will give pain to anyone. The Sith lightning he leashes out is so painful.
It is.
That is painful enough that you will almost die. But thankfully, though, Anakin was able to defeat Darth Sidious, or the Emperor, by throwing him down the ventilation shaft, destroying his form, and succeeding victory with the rebellion, so they take over the Republic. Thus, that is the end for Emperor Palpatine in general. Or is it, if you think about it? A young woman by the name of Ajmarkle was raised in Coruscant and was chosen by the Empire to become one of the most famous soldiers. And even Palpatine sensed something was different about her. So, he decided to keep his lineage alive through her by using the Force to create a child through her. She would flee and would give birth to the child in a planet known as Riley. And the child's name is Ketris Palpatine. Unfortunately for Ajmarkle, while she raised her son, she could not hide the truth about who his father really was for long. And once she told him, he was put in great fear, and she decided against her full will to give him up for his safety. It was for the best. Ajmarkle would later die of a broken heart.
Rest in peace. Okay, Rey's parents? Here we go.
Ketris was known as the one that was Palpatine's son, later on when he was in his young adult years. But he decided he didn't want anything to do with him, despite the chance he could have Force abilities. But seeing how his father's Force abilities were painful based on the readings, he'd had to flee. He would find a woman by the name of Ari Kenobi. Now, Ari has a very interesting story arc, which I will explain in a sec. But let's kind of go back on Ketris real quick. Ketris, unlike his father, was very caring. Even as a young child, he always believed in caring for other people besides himself. It was one of the reasons he married Ari, because he saw her caring spirit as well, and how willing she was to protect him. daughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Whoa.
Who actually did have a love affair because, if you guys remember from the Kenobi books, he did lead the Jedi Order for another woman, but that was a mistake. Her mother is known as Taraya Dempsey.
Oh.
Both Obi-Wan and Taraya were very close, but sadly, Taraya died in Order 66, and Obi-Wan was forced to give up Arari for her safety. While he was on Tatooine, Obi-Wan not only had to keep an eye on Luke, but he also used the Force to connect with his daughter. Before he died, he left her this message. My time is coming, my daughter. I want you to live in the future while the Empire is still reigning. I know that one day it will fall.
I wonder if it's doing my Obi-Wan voice. I wonder if it's actually AJ.
Obi-Wan would still keep in contact with his daughter through the Force, but she decided to disconnect from the Force to protect her daughter, and she would die along with her husband on Jakku. Thus, that is the end of Rey's parents. But let's talk about Rey.
Here we go.
Rylu, a planet that's known for Twi'leks, was where Rey was born. Rey's parents kept her there for a little bit to keep her away from the First Order. However, they couldn't save her for long, because now, with the Emperor coming back, this will be explained in a much later video, Rey had to be in another planet away from Rylu, so they took her to a very far planet, Jakku. Unfortunately, Rey's parents met their end. However, Rey didn't know her parents had died. I mean, it's obvious. They were both Force users because they have Force sensitivity, right? I mean, Palpatine, Kenobi, and all that? Wrong. They disconnected from the Force, so they wouldn't have to deal with all that. However, Rey triggered that when she herself connected with the Force herself as a young girl. However, after her parents dropped her off Jakku, she disconnected herself from the Force. And ever since then, she had to learn as a salvager how to survive on her own, learning the skills of other people and also self-teaching herself her own ways of survival. Rey had a unique ability that several people have called memorizing through sight, meaning that she can memorize by what she sees, rather than using the Force just so that she could learn that tactic. So basically, Rey is a very strong character, but it took a long time for her to develop as a character. But still, Rey still missed her parents, and she wondered if she'll ever see them again. But she never did.
Yeah, sadly.
But still, heard about the rumors about the Resistance, and had heard so much about it. In fact, some of the stuff she salvaged were either First Order parts or Resistance parts. She even found a Resistance helmet. However, despite learning all that, and her yearning to be free from Jakku, we still get to see how she grew up. Let me explain at least 3 things that she learned on Jakku that would help her throughout her entire life. Number 1, the staff. The staff, in this case, was picked up by another salvager when she was fighting. You see, salvagers in this time of Jakku, and even back thousands of years ago, back in the Knights of the Old Republic, play that second game, by the way, so you can understand what I'm talking about, it was hard. Those guys are savages.
They are.
No pun intended. Okay, maybe it was. But you get the hint. Those guys are dangerous, and they can be violent. They will do whatever it takes to get what they want. However, to answer your question, maybe why Rey was alone, the reason she was alone was because salvagers were basically afraid of her. That's right, I'm saying it perfectly. Salvagers are afraid of Rey because she has learned how to defend herself, she's learned how to physically defeat them, and because of her abilities to use a staff, obviously, but also learning hand-to-hand combat, she would become a much more powerful person. And she didn't have to use the Force to do that. Kind of interesting, huh? Of course, even with all that training, her time to leave Jakku was still far away. Until one day.
Oh, conclusion.
So now we know that Rey is a Kenobi and a Palpatine. However, it's important to know that her parents sacrificed their lives to protect their daughter from the evil Sidious or Palpatine. But yet it's important to know that Rey is not some Mary Sue that randomly had these abilities to fight back. And yet, she's still got time to develop at this point. And this is the conclusion of her backstory, that we know she was born on Rylu, we know she was raised in Jakku on her own by being a salvager or scavenger, if you guys looked up the word. And also we know that she did not randomly get natural abilities. She actually had to work to get those abilities so she become a much stronger character. I hope this basically helps with Rey's backstory.
It does.
If you guys got any questions about this, please leave them down in the comments below and I will be sure to answer them later on. Heck, maybe I might even answer them in a future video so that way you guys could basically get more answers out of it. Hey, this is if I directed Disney Star Wars, and it's only my opinion how it should be done. I'm not trying to change Disney's series, even though there's rumor that they are basically changing it or cutting out sequels, making an alternate universe, which could be a do or die, but I don't know. But anyway, guys, I hope this is a good one, and I hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like down in the video, and of course share this with your friends, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. God bless. You rock.
And don't forget it. Wow. That was a really amazing video, AJ. I really loved this. Why didn't Disney hire you as the director? Because you did such a dang well better job than any of us other directors. You really did with her backstory. So yeah, thank you for fixing it. So we've been reacting to AJ Markle's first video of his If I Directed Disney Star Wars series about Rey's backstory. So yeah, be sure to give this video a like. Also be sure to comment on the comments what you thought of this video by AJ Markle. Also be sure to subscribe to my channel for videos coming in the future, and I'll see you all later.